Yeah, I mean, I prefer to stay active. I was trying to fight at the end of last year. It didn't work out, and then I got offered a fight actually for March, but I was dealing with a little bit of an injury then, so I wasn't able to accept that. And next available slot for me was now. So
You've obviously been with Bellator for a minute. Just wondering, new changes, new management. How has the experience been so far for your first fight under the new Bellator?
I mean, I like it. I think fight week's a little bit more organized, and everything's back to back, so you don't have to go in the morning, then go back at night, and you kind of have a little bit more freedom in your schedule.
Finally, just what are your thoughts on Norbert and what he brings to the table as an opponent?
I mean, I think he's a good fighter. He's 7-0, but he obviously makes a lot of mistakes. I think I'm going to capitalize on a lot of those, and I don't see anywhere in this fight that this fight goes where he has an advantage. So, regardless of where the fight goes, I think I win.
Thank you.
Next question, Mike Pendleton.
Hey, Dalton, we just talked recently, and I kind of want you to re-expand on what you told me that this fight will showcase that you are, the best on the planet. What does taking Norbert's undefeated record and getting back into your winning ways do, and what message does it send, to everyone?
Taking his undefeated record doesn't mean anything to me. I can care less about that. All I'm worried about is me getting back in the win column, me getting a win, me getting my win bonus, and working back towards the title.
And obviously, you're going to have a ruckus crowd there in Ireland. Is that more fun when you know the crowd can be going crazy? I know you're focused on the task at hand, but I got to imagine the energy definitely helps boost the energy a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. I can't wait to feel that energy. Whenever crowds go crazy, they get electric. I feel like it definitely helps fighters' performance. All athletes, but I think fighting's a little bit different. It's more personal, and I'll take any energy, any help that I can get, and I feel like I'll feed off the crowd, whether it's they're booing for me or whether they're cheering for me.
You obviously like to stay active. You just said that in answer the last questions that you were answering, and you were opened up about the injury that you were recovering from. Just getting back in the cage, getting back in the ring column as you plan to do this weekend. What does this do for your psyche moving forward?
What does what do for my psyche moving forward?
Just getting back in action. If you go in and do what you expect to do, getting a win on Saturday.
I mean, of course, winning's always fun. Nobody wants to lose, but I don't think my psyche's changed since my last fight. I took a loss. I dealt with it. I fixed my mistakes. I worked on holes in my game, and I'm ready to go out there and get a win. I don't think anything's wrong with my psyche or my mentality, though. So I think that'll show come fight night on Saturday.
Thank you, Don.
Yep.
Ryan Rappaport.
Hey, Dalton. Ryan Rappaport, Fight Capital. You're signed with Sucker Punch and Brian Butler. What was your main factor with going with their team?
I mean, previously I was with Paradigm. I just felt like Paradigm wasn't delivering the way that they told me they were going to whenever I initially signed with them. I understand that happens a lot in the fight world, but I felt like it was time for me to move on. And I met Brian a few times before that. We never talked about like management or partnering up or anything like that. I knew him through my friend Sabah. He was at a few of the fights that I was at, and he just seemed like a cool guy. And obviously, he has a lot of elite fighters that he manages, and guys in UFC, guys in Bellator, guys in PFL. So he's connected. And on top of that, I just felt like he was a great guy. So I really didn't have to reach out to anybody else. Whenever I was leaving, I kind of figured out that's where I was going.
Yeah, he speaks very highly of you. Being down at American Top Team, obviously he's got some great fighters down there, but I noticed that you're training with a lot of the Dagestani wrestler guys. Obviously, with your wrestling background, what do you think has been the biggest takeaway that you've had training with those other elite international wrestlers?
It's always good. Sometimes whenever you're sparring against somebody or just training with somebody in general, and you're a wrestler, that people don't shoot on you a lot. So whenever you're going against another high level wrestler and they shoot on you, it keeps you on your toes. It keeps you guessing. You have to look at MMA from all aspects and all points of view. Whereas like when you're the wrestler and you're sparring against a striker, you're the one that's dictating whether there's going to be any wrestling or not. So I think it's good to see that defensively, and being able to wrestle them in sparring and in training as well, and feel like the difference in the defense and the takedown defense and everything else, the clinches, the scrambles from high-level wrestlers as well.
Yeah, last question. You've done a really good job of positioning yourself with a lot of great brand partners and sponsors. What do you attribute that to in terms of being able to find people who want to get back behind you and back you financially?
I feel like I just met the right people along the way, and through networking and from some of those people that I did make connections with, they reached out to other people for me, and it was just like a big circle of networking, I guess you would say. And one thing led to another.
Awesome, Grant. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Next question, JL Curvin.
Hi, Dalton. J.O. Carmen for sure. Obviously, nobody wants to lose, but coming off your first loss, just what was sort of your approach to going back to the drawing board? What do you feel like you've sharpened over the last year?
I think the biggest takeaway from that fight was I didn't listen to the game plan. We had a game plan in place. I listened to it for the first half of the first round, maybe a little bit longer. But after that, I got away from it. There's reasons as to why I did. But ultimately, I need to listen to my coaches, follow the game plan that we have set in place. And I think that's the biggest takeaway that I have from that. Obviously, there's some other things I can work on. I wasn't perfect in that fight technically either. So this time off, 10 months or so, a little bit over 10 months, I had a lot of time to improve on holes in my games and improve on strengths that I already do have. So I think I'm coming back a much better fighter than I was before.
Absolutely. And you don't really hear fighters, kind of praise the game plan a lot. They go in with one and they try to adapt. For you, just the mental part of the game, just developing game plans, film study, just how much better do you feel like you've gotten at that?
I felt like I was pretty good at it before, but shit hit the fan in the last fight, and I got away from the game plan, like I said, and I shouldn't have done that. And now I know going forward to listen to my coaches, because when I watched the fight back, obviously the game plan we had in place was working. I got away from it. I started wrestling. It wasn't working, and I kept trying and trying and trying, and I kept failing and failing and failing. So ultimately, I realized that my coaches know a lot more than I do. They've been around a lot longer than I have. They've seen a lot more than I have. They've trained more fighters than I have. And at the end of the day, I trust them. So going forward, I'm just going to be listening to them.
Next question, Jesse. Okay, next question, Curtis Calhoun.
Hey, this is Curtis Calhoun from BJPenn.com. My question is about kind of the state of the middleweight division. It's an interesting time with Johnny Evelyn getting ready to face Fabian Edwards in a rematch, but then you got Costello winning a #1 contender fight. So I want to get your thoughts about, kind of the state of the middleweight division. Do you feel like there needs to be more transparency regarding, who's the #1 contender and who earns that slot?
I mean, that's not my job to analyze that. I don't agree with Costello being the #1 contender, obviously. He was coming off a 2-year layoff, beat a nobody, and then lost to Douglas Lima. And then they had this last fight coming off a loss, his #1 contender fight. I don't understand it personally, but like I said, it's not my job to analyze that. And at the end of the day, I just need to go out there and take care of what I need to do, and everything else will fall in place.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next question, Jesse.
Hey Dalton, I just wanted to ask you, how important is it to represent the USA going into this Dublin fight at O3 Arena?
It's very important to me. I'm a proud American, and I know there's only 2 other Americans on this card, but I consider myself an American through and through. I'm very proud of my country, and honestly, I wouldn't rather represent anybody else. I don't know how else I can put it, but I can't wait for Saturday.
And last question for me, how important is it to keep
I mean, I feel like that's always important, but you got to take the fight as it comes. You know, I believe I can finish this guy. I know I can finish this guy. It's not just about belief. And if that opportunity comes, I'll take it. But at the end of the day, just got to go out there and win. So if the judge's scorecard is the way that we need to do it, so be it. But I will be looking for the finish.
Dalton, thank you so much and good luck on Saturday.
Yeah, thank you.
Next question, Harry Davies.
Hi Dalton, you've joked on Instagram before that with Paulo Costa you two of USADA's most wanted, and I wanted to ask, do muscles win fights? Because you're a pretty jacked guy. I was thinking, how much do you think they help you in the cage?
No, they don't win fights. That's the short answer. But I do believe it helps me in some ways that it doesn't help others. Obviously, having a lot more muscle can make you fatigue faster. But that's why I'm at one of the best training camps, if not the best training camp in the entire world. And those training partners, those coaches, that gym, that atmosphere, everything helps you plug that hole. And as for how it helps me, you know, I'm fast, I'm strong and explosive, I have power. So some of these things that you can't develop just because of the way that you're built, if you're not like a fast twitch muscle fiber athlete, you can develop them to a certain extent, but they'll never match what somebody else has if they are physically gifted.
Is it safe to say, you know, the typical bodybuilder movements are a part of your training routine, but sort of maybe they are in a strength and conditioning sort of speed type of way?
My coach, Mike Brown, made me stop lifting. So I don't lift anymore. But when it wasn't bodybuilding. It was more so powerlifting and functional movements and stuff like that. But I tried not neglecting any body part, if that answers your question. But a lot of stuff was compound movements, explosive movements, and functional movements. Yep.
Last question goes to Hader Pervez.
Hello, Dalton. I'm from For Fight's Sake. I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. My question is, Johnny Ergel also trains at American top team. What would you feel of a potential matchup with him? And do you train together when you're preparing for fights?
I didn't understand the first part of that question. It was hard to hear.
I was mentioning that Johnny Ergel, does he also train at American top team? And do you compete against him in training and lead up to fights?
Yeah, he trains an American top team. The last 3-4 weeks, I want to say, we've been sparring with each other. He's helped me out a lot this camp. And obviously we get a lot of wrestling rounds and everything in as well. So we train together quite often.
Would you say that plays a factor in a potential matchup with him in the future?
I don't know. I'm not here to speculate against or about that. If that ends up coming across the table, you know what I mean, and I get offered a title fight and he's still the title holder, which I don't believe there's anybody that's going to knock him off, then it's something that we're going to have to visit with the gym, our coaches, each other, and go from there.